5, 4, 3, 2, I don't care. Hey everybody, and welcome to another, whatever. I don't know what this is. I have no idea what I'm doing anymore. But we're gonna do some puzzles today, and I just wanted to share with you all the improvements they've added to Lichess. So, as you know, I'm a very big proponent of using chess tempo and their curated sets or custom sets that you can make, but I wanted to show you guys what you can do if you can't pay $5 for Chess Tempo. I still think there's very much value in what Chess Tempo provides, but Lichess is such a wonderful, goddamn wonderful site, and I wanted to show you some of the things you can do to get started if you're a beginner like myself. So yeah, they have the regular puzzles that you can do. You can just go into puzzles and get started. But if you're looking for specific themes, they might not have as much of customizations as Chess Tempo might have. But they have different themes now that you can click on and do puzzles from. And it'll show you how many puzzles they have in each of the collections. And then you can navigate via motifs or themes. And one of the things I have now is mates. So you can do like mate in ones, mate in twos, mate in threes. You can't really combine just 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 or whatever, but you can do just overall checkmates, which will give you a great range of just all of these mating motifs, and that's really awesome. They have a lot of different things that you can look from. In fact, this is a pretty cool thing. They have puzzles that are strictly from specific games. And one of the really cool things is player games. Look up puzzles generated from your games and from other people's games. I don't think I've played well ever or at the time range that they're looking at. So if I click this, and then if I do that, I'm probably not going to get anything. Yeah, I don't have any puzzles. But I can look up other people, like, let's say, what is this Eric Rosen's one? Eric Rosen? Is it like that? Yeah. So yeah, you could click on somebody like Eric, and then suddenly you have all the puzzles that Eric might have ended up in situations for. So that's very cool. Yeah, and then you could obviously do something like Dr. Drunkenstein. Possibly, though, since his games are all, like, he only plays title Blitz Arenas. Oh, never mind. Yeah. So you could just do puzzles for, what is it? The champion, if you wanted. So that's pretty cool. But, yeah. I thought that was very cool, and today, continuing on with my journey of being shitty at chess, I thought, why don't I do my mating puzzles in Lichess instead of just doing it in Chess Tempo? Oh, and another option that they have is to change the difficulty. So if you really want to challenge yourself, I'd say put it on harder. Normal, it seems, is, if I even think about it for a couple moves, it's not too bad. And then, of course, easier and easiest. It just, you know, if you're just starting out, maybe start on easiest and just kind of build up from there. As you can see, I was doing a bunch of testing out this new feature and testing out a bunch of puzzles. All of the green ones, of course, are because it's easiest. All of the red ones, also easiest. I'm still terrible, so that has not changed. And in continuation with what we've been doing in my previous videos, I'm not only trying to solve the puzzle, but I'm using this time as a way to look at the board and read the board and use notation language to kind of help me develop my board visualization and board language, right? So it's not just about getting it right, it's about getting it right while doing it right, which is such a fucking dad's thing to say. Such a boomer thing to say. It's great. I love it. So let's get started. It looks like black is in a meh position. My rook's under fire. I'm down one piece, and my pawns are all over the place. No defenders, just stuff hanging all around on both sides. My king is, it's in a scary position. If this wasn't a real game, I would panic. I would be afraid. I would be looking for moves. I would probably try to find a way to save my rook while still keeping tempo to take that bishop and hope for a draw or maybe some kind of tactical line. Would I, in a real game, try to find a mating line here? I don't know. I don't know if I would be able to find it. I think initially the first move I'd think is something like this: queen to h2 or queen to e3. So let's kind of calculate some lines here. I think queen to e3 is looking good because the rook has that h file there. It's really limiting the squares that the king has. And if I do queen to e3, are there any ways that black can counter or block or, you know, do any kind of distraction or deflection? It does not look like it. This guy can't do anything. This guy can't do anything. So yeah, I think queen to e3, at which point king would have to go to f2, and then I think it's just as simple as rook to h8 or h1 for checkmate. Yeah, that looks like the puzzle. Okay, so right on. There is a fork? What? I mean, I guess there is a fork, but I'm not gonna mess with that. Yeah, once you finish a puzzle, if you see a motif that's not added into the puzzle for the puzzle or tagging for the puzzle, it's good to add it in if you know it's definitively true. I would say when I do it, if I see something very obvious that's missing, I try to add it. But if it's uncertain, I'm a lower ranked player, I don't feel like it's my place to say some of these things. So, you know, yeah, do try to help, I guess. With this position, it looks like I am down a little bit of material. He has a rook, whereas I have a bishop, but you know, at the end game with this open board, the bishop can sometimes be really nice, especially bishop, queen, and rook combo, so I don't feel pretty bad about that. When it comes to pawns, he has 4, I have 4, this one is hanging, this is pretty good. I'm afraid of this at some point, but you know, I would think of maybe something like this if that happened. But enough tempo, it would take enough tempo for me to add that in any time, something like this. I should really use my language. I should use my skills of talking. But that being said, first thing to check: am I under fire? Rook to d1 looks pretty scary. But I have 2 guys on this row here, so I think rook d. Why am I having such a hard time? Rook d1 would be met with rook takes, queen takes, rook takes, queen takes, rook takes, queen takes. So it's not an issue, not an issue. And this is a very popular mating. Popular mating motif that I just got wrong. That's not the move. Wait, why doesn't this work? Oh, because he can run away, of course. Yeah, well, that's embarrassing. Even though it's a popular mating motif, I didn't even consider the flight square, and that's me just being an idiot. Attraction is what I saw. There was a sacrifice. That was embarrassing, but that is my life. Let's see here. I have some pawn. I have a pawn advantage. I am missing some other piece material. He's got some rooks. This looks pretty good. A lot of second row rooking seems possible. Nice thing is, with the pawn advantage and queen to h3, if I wasn't going for a checkmate, I could just take that rook for a delicious equalization. It's not the best, but the knight can be tricky. So the queen-knight combo could be pretty good, but the rook-queen combo is pretty strong as well. Especially on such a decently open board. I mean, these are probably going to come off the board pretty soon, and we have a couple of open files already. So I would be a little worried. I would be a little worried. Yeah, I don't think there is any immediate threat to my king, though. So I see an immediate threat to their king. It would move to g7, so queen h3 check, king to g8, queen to g7 check, forcing the king one more down to f8, at which point queen to h8, and there's no flight squares for the king. So I think that is the puzzle. And it is. I shouldn't pre-move like that, but I mean, if I'm going to get it wrong, I might as well get it wrong in style, right? And yes, there was a fork. So yeah, I'll go with that. I'll go with that. And yeah, it's been a while since I've done a video. I promised to do one fairly like 2 weeks ago, but then life got in the way and I got way too busy with other stuff. So I'm very thankful that I get to play some chess today and make a video. I'm very excited about that. Wow, I have so many pawns. I have 7 pawns. What is going on? And then on his side, he only has 5 pawns. He does have a piece advantage. He has a full rook on me. So, I mean, the pawn advantage is strong. And since we have opposite colored bishops, I can just make such a strong pawn combo going on somewhere and just chain them up, trying to push them. So I feel pretty good about that part. The rooks are also kind of stuck right now, but I think, honestly, if I was white, I would just go for some more open lines. So I would be trying to break open files to get the rooks activated. Would I trade a rook for a minor piece? No, probably not. I would probably try to start by doing some pawn pushes to start asking questions. Put them pawn gloves up. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. With that being said, let's take a look at my king's position. Not very good. I don't like this, especially when there's a white bishop or a light squared bishop on the board. But nothing's under threat right now. And immediately the move that I see for me would be rook to g1. That is fairly strong. Rook to g1 check. I don't think there's any deflection or blocks that white can do, so the king would have to move to h2. At which point, what would be the move? I don't see a continuation from there just yet. I'm wondering if maybe rook to g1 check, king over here, queen takes h3, check, king takes, rook back down, and I think the king's fine. Yeah, doesn't look promising. There is, I'm fairly certain the rook to g1 is probably the right line, but I'm seeing if maybe like queen takes h3 might be the way to go for a delicious sacrifice. I don't see any kind of good line from there, though. Queen takes h3, bishop takes h3, rook to g1 now is met with queen takes g1. There's queen takes queen. Queen takes queen on e1. Rook takes queen on e1. Then I can do rook to g1, but I don't think that does anything. There's still that. Yeah, I don't know. Let's go back to the rook to g1 line, though. Rook to g1, queen to h2. Rook to g1, queen to h2. And I still don't see a way to get a mate. I guess if I do rook to g1, queen to h2, or king to h2, there would be bishop to f2. But that's a little slow, and like I guess it does come with the threat of queen to g3 for checkmate. Oh, but there's rook takes f3. So yeah, if I tried rook to g1, king to h2, bishop to f2, it's just met with rook taking, and then they have two attackers there. I would only have one defender, so that's close, but that's not quite it. Another idea would be rook to g1, king to h2, queen to g3, queen takes queen on g3, and now I have pawn to g3 for check, and since it's defended by rook on g1, for some reason that sounded odd. And let me try saying that again. And since I have a rook defending the pawn from g1, the king has no flight squares, and I don't think there's any way for white to remove that pawn. And I think that's the answer. So let's do it. Alright, okay. Excellent, excellent. Exposed king. Well, my king's exposed. Was his king exposed? Yeah, I guess a little bit, yeah. Yeah, both of our kings are exposed. King side attack. I mean, that's true, but I don't know. I don't know how they want to use this, man. I don't know what kind of labeling, like, do they want over labeling or under labeling? I'm unsure so far. I don't know what to do. Life's hard. I don't get it. Let's read the board. Let's see. There's a bit of material on the board. Pawn-wise, we're equal. He has 3 minor pieces. I have 1 minor piece. What happened to all of my pieces, dude? Oh my god. And then we both have our major pieces on the board. That's challenging. That's challenging. But I don't hate my position compared to his position. His king is definitely exposed in this situation. Mine is not in the best place. I would really like that pawn not to be there. But what can you do? The flight squares for the king are a little bit restricted. Especially once you move that pawn, a lot of the second file becomes open. It is scary. There's already a knight there. I'm unsure of, like, would this be worth it if I had to? Maybe. There's so much material, like, loss on my part that going for a tactic, going for some kind of, you know, some clinical tactical precision might be the best way to go. So, first thing to look for is my king in a dangerous position? Maybe, but not for a couple moves. I'm okay, or at least one move. I think I'm okay for now. So then the question becomes, what can I do to change this around? And of course it's a mating puzzle, so we know what we have to do. And what I see here is queen to c2. King's gonna have to move somewhere. let's say king to a3. And that would be interesting because then I have queen to b2, defended by my bishop on g7. King would then have to move to a4. Queen to a2. Nothing can block me from doing so. And the king, because he can't go on the b file, would be stuck with the queen, and that would be a very interesting checkmate. So that's one possible line, and I think from all of this that we saw, let's go through it again. Queen to c2, check. Is there any way for him to deflect or block? No. So king to a3, and then queen to b2, check. Is there any way for him to block or move? He can't go to the b file, as we've said, because of the rook, so he has to go to a4, and then queen to a2. Is there any way for him to stop that? No. I was seeing if the bishop could, if where his dark squared bishop was, but it's not in the right diagonal to help him there. So that would be checkmate. So then let's look at the other possible lines that he has. Queen to c2, check. And then a1 would be immediately losing. So yeah, I think that's the move. And there we go. Ooh, it feels good when you pre-move mates. I feel like a super guy. Very good, very good. Okay. I feel like I've had these kind of games from white side before, where I'm just up material and then my friends just make the fuck out of me. Let's look at this position here. Material-wise, black is up, and he has, as what we know in the trade, as a juicer. It's going. It's getting real close, and that's worrisome. His pawn structure looks pretty good. This is great for me. I like that. My pawn structure, not that bad. His pawn being on d3, though, that's going to break my pawns a bit. And I'm going to be left out in the open if I have to defend with my king, so I don't necessarily like that. Piece-wise, I'm down a rook, and he has a minor piece. A dark squared bishop, so, I mean, thankfully, his dark squared bishop is just terrible. It is actually hurting him right now, so that's good. His queen is out on the board. These two pieces aren't playing the game. So it's almost like it's a endgame of queen, rook, queen, rook. Queen, rook, queen, rook. And then, of course, all of these pawns, I wonder how quickly that would fall. You know, something like boop, boop, boop. Oh, that is getting dangerous, right? Anyway, that being said, there is a check potential from him in the next move, but is it dangerous? I mean, it could be. There's some kind of line here, right? There's forced lines. Of course, if I go this way, that, right? And if I go king to b3, then there's probably potentials for some kind of mating net here for him. Excuse me. Old man indigestion. Great. So yeah, we're in a bit of a pickle, but I feel like we have some good stuff at our hands. For instance, we have queen to a8, which forces him onto d7. We also have on the other side rook to e8 because of this terrible bishop. Again, there is queen to d7. And because of the pawn positions, there isn't any way for the queen to really punish him on this diagonal here, the a4 to the e8 diagonal. So if that's the case, what is the right move? Well, I think I see the right move. It's a queen mating pattern that's actually very popular. We've talked about it on this in previous videos before. But basically, if the king is on d7 because of his own pieces blocking some flight squares. Once the queen gets to e8, the diagonal control as well as the row and file control. But yeah, I like to call this the arrow or the triangle. I don't know what I call this. There must be a real name for this. For the love of God, if anybody watches this video in like 20 years when you find my dead, decrepit corpse on YouTube, please comment and let us know what the fuck it's called, because I just never remember. But, so, going back to the actual puzzle, queen to a8, forced for the king to go to d7, and then king or queen to e7 checkmate, as the king has no flight squares. Excellent. I was really hoping that in the motifs it would tell me what this is called. Twasn't though. Twasn't. I think I got a message. Okay, well, Magnus is whatting now? My chess friend just said Magnus is on Bota's live stream on Twitch. Oh yeah. What a weird crossover. The Botas, dude, they're players, man. They're much better than I am. I'm so happy that chess is kind of blowing up during COVID. Like, COVID's terrible, but there are some blessings, and I feel like getting to see more chess content these days is just absolutely fantastic. That makes me so happy. That being said, back to the puzzles. Let's take a look at the board now. My king is exposed. His king is even more exposed. We have pawn equality. He has a passed baby going. That looks delicious. I have, you know, two pawns, two-pawn chain. That could be pretty good later on, especially if I was able to get my e-pawn to survive, but that doesn't look like the case. The blocker on e5 is pretty good. What was I thinking? Right, so we can't calculate the pawns. They're all over the place. His pawn, I mean, this pawn is good. This pawn, yeah. His a pawn is pretty damn good. His queen is on my side. That's not so hot. I'm missing a queen. Yeah, let's look at the materials. I have one minor piece, and I have a minor piece and a major piece. So, depending on the position, I could take that. I would not be angry about that. Well, I would be kind of sad about it, though. I would be. But it's an interesting position because his king is way more exposed than mine, and all of my pieces are active in trying to destroy him right now, that is where I like to be in a game. So, you know, there are immediate threats that will potentially happen. I just realized queen to d6 would be met with such a delicious backwards knight move. But no, that's not the important part right now. The important thing to figure out is how do I ensure a forced mate on the king. I just realized I'm going to have to do a short video today because I do want to get some food, and then I'll be playing some chess with my friend online after this. So I think this might... Let's do 2 more puzzles, including this one. Okay, so let's see. I see 2 candidate moves that I haven't calculated so far. I have the rook to g3, and I have the knight to d4, both coming with check. The thing with knight to d4 is there is possibilities of the king moving over to e3, and then there are 2 pieces that are undefended at that point. So that doesn't seem like the right way. So I'm going to calculate the rook move first. Rook to g3. There's no flight square over here. There's no king to e2. Thanks to the bishop. There would be... And there would be no e3, obviously, because of the rook. So the only real move that the king would have would be king to f4. I don't think there's any blocking moves. He's right next door. There's no way that this rook is going to get in between those two. So rook to g3 check, king to f4, and then at which point we can just take. Rook takes rook on f2, and I think that's checkmate. All of this file is taken, all of this file is taken, the bishop has this. Oops, that's the wrong diagonal. Bishop has this diagonal, and of course, yeah, that's taken by the knight as well as the rook, so it seems to be the way to go. Alright. Let's see, we said one more. Deflection? Yeah, I guess, kind of. I'm uncertain. Not pro enough to say. Okay, so again, we almost have that mating pattern that I talked about where the king might be pushing himself into a scary position. But let's read the board. Let's calm down. Let's look at the position we're in. Why is my king still in the middle of the game when we're down so many pieces? Why does White have so many minor pieces that are undeveloped? What happened to his pawns? What is this game? What is the... I have to see what this game was. Yes! The B pawn push. Excellent. Okay. Good. Wait. What? What rank is this game at, dude? I can't wait to see. This is just drunk people playing chess, I feel like. Okay, so after the weird opening where Black loses a knight for... Oh, boy. How did Black even lose that? What happened, dude? Oh, because... That's beautiful. That e3 move forces the knight to move while also tempting him, and he just didn't see the diagonal, I guess. That's crazy. But it almost looked like it's going into some kind of... like a reverse Caro-Kann? I don't even know what this is. This is great. And taken. Okay. And he just never developed his side. That's... Yeah, I guess I kind of see some value in this. I don't know if this was White's plan, but he has kind of stopped. He's opened up Black on all sides, and he's stopped him from being able to castle because of his own rook. And, yeah, he's kind of breaking things open. That being said, he doesn't have a lot of pieces that can kind of help coordinate an attack. So, that's interesting. Anyway, so we get to this position. And, yeah, at this point, let's read the board. Looks like I have a free piece if I want it. But talking of pieces, even after I take, I would be still one minor piece down. His rook, one of his rooks is engaged. His queen is going to come online very soon. Who says that? Chess Network? Come online? I think Chess Network says that. Ooh, by the way, if you're watching this today, Chess Network has a new video out of Magnus Carlsen playing in the latest titled arena. So please go support him. I love Chess Network. Please. I mean, who the fuck is watching my channel anyway? I have 0 viewers. Well, who the fuck am I telling to go watch other people? But yeah, I mean, I like to shout out the people that I like, you know. But yeah, let's continue reading the board here. My rooks, one of my rooks could potentially get going soon. I guess I could castle and get the rook out. Some position there if that happens. Do I feel scared? No. There's so little development of his pieces right now. Like, there's ample opportunity for me to do something. So I don't feel pressured. That being said, I do feel challenged by the limited resources that I also have with this game. Best move that I see, of course, is that. No, 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 no. Because if I do that, then if I do queen to g3, big boy words. Queen to g3, there's always g1 again. Blah, blah, blah. No way for him to block it from happening either, but that's not what we want to happen. I want him to keep on moving to less flight squares if possible. This pawn is doing great job. Where's the red one? There we go. He's doing a great job of controlling these squares, which was wonderful. So yeah, I would like to push him this way, so that would probably be bishop to g3 check. And then the only square that the king has would be king to e2, at which point queen takes g2 check, and the only blocker we have, I think, is rook. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. So rook blocks, but I'm still defended by my bishop. The coordination is awesome, and that would be a very smothered-like mate. All right, excellent. And yeah, that's all I have time for. I'm not going to tell you the time. I'm not going to tell you where I live, actually. It doesn't take too much to find out where I live or what time it is here. But yeah, thanks for sticking around and letting me show you guys what the Lichess puzzle. What is this? What would this be called? A puzzle app? Yeah, I guess that would be the best word for that. Thank you for taking the time to let me share the Lichess's new puzzle app and the updates they've made to it. I hope this was useful and insightful in some way. I hope me doing some puzzles will also help other beginners, kind of inspire them and kind of help them with their own training and their training methods as well. Join me next time. I'm probably just going to keep on doing mating puzzles for a very long time. I have become a firm believer in the fact that I just don't know enough mates. If I want to be any good at tactics, the first thing I should be really solid on in the rudimentary beginnings is just mating patterns, mating nets, mating everything. Just anything to do with mates, anything to do with me getting mated or the opponent getting mated, I should be very well aware of that and get better with that. So with that being said, yeah, expect more mate puzzle videos in the future. Yay. I'm raising this hand too. Oh, this is that hand. Oh, everything's mirrored. This is weird. Anyway, yeah. See you later.